The whole meeting for the Elgin City Council for May 24th, 2023 to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Dixon,
Here.
Good,
Here.
Martinez,
Here.
Ortiz,
Here.
Howell, Rauschenberger,
Here.
Steffen,
Here.
Thoren,
Here.
Mayor Captain.
Here. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of May 10th, 2023.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, clerk please call the roll.
Council members Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Steffen,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion is approved 8-0. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Item A is an engineering services agreement with Engineering Enterprises, Inc. for the lead service line replacement plan. The use of lead water service lines to a home or business from the city's water mains was a recognized industry practice before 1970. Today, there are about 12,000 such lead water service lines. It was originally 13,500 that are existing at residential and commercial properties in Elgin. To address health concerns associated with the lead service lines, the city in 2020 developed a 5-year plan with the goal of replacing 700 lines every year. The first year, in 2022, the city replaced 510 lead service lines using a combination of state revolving loan funds, local funding, and local funding, excuse me. During late 2022, during routine compliance monitoring, levels of lead in Elgin's drinking water were a bit above the federal action level of 15 parts per billion in a handful of homes throughout the city. However, this exceedance is now requiring the city to replace 7% of its lead service lines annually. This requirement means that the city must be replacing about 840 lines annually using state revolving loan funds and American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds, in 2023 this year. To add another wrinkle to the mix, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency recently proposed changes to its funding eligibility procedures for its revolving loan funds. Because of the requirements to replace 840 lines annually, the city must now reassess its plan for years 3, 4, and 5 to make sure that its plan optimizes the ability to obtain funding opportunities. The city is additionally required to submit an initial lead service line replacement plan to the IEPA before April 15th of next year. Staff is requesting that its existing consultant, Engineering Enterprises, Inc., revise its current replacement lead service plan and prepare the required long-term replacement plan to maximize funding opportunities and meet federal and state regulations. This additional initiative is estimated to cost $52,000. That's all a long way of saying we're going back to re-examine the plan to ensure we have the greatest opportunities to receive state and federal financing for the removal of lead service lines in years 23, 24, and 25.
Move for approval.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Mr. Dixon.
Yes, a question for City Manager. What are some of those, well, have we identified some of those funding opportunities that may come forward from the state or the federal government?
I'm sorry?
Have we identified some of those?
Yes,
Okay.
and the primary one is the change with the state. There have been, we're using the federal funds for ARPA, there have been tranches of federal relief that have come from the federal government. Unfortunately, Illinois was not part of that initial program. So the plan is going forward with the hope of additional funding becoming available, we'll be able to hone in on that. These amendments are primarily designed to ensure that we have the ability to tap into the state's revolving loan fund
Okay.
and have the highest degree of eligibility for that program.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion is approved 8-0.
Item B is an acceptance of the Elgin Township Grant for Kids United Summer Program. Community engagement programs focusing on crime prevention have been a top priority of the police department for many years. Offering this programming to support youth initiatives that provide prevention and engagement opportunities have long-term positive effects towards reducing future crime in the city. The police department's primary summer youth program is Kids United. This program provides a safe, fun, and educational environment for the Elgin youth. It's staffed by Elgin's police school resource officers, rope officers, police explorers, social service interns, parks and recreation employees, and community volunteers. Funding for Kids United activities are provided for by a grant from Elgin Township in the amount of $20,000.
Move for approval?
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Mr. Dixon.
Yeah, question for EPD, but maybe city manager can answer this. For the public's information, where can they go to have their children signed up for these programs?
I would imagine you would be able to do it on the website. I know that Chief Lally is in the back room. She would be able to confirm that, but I don't have that specific
Okay.
information.
I want to
off the top of
bump
my
the number up from 700 to 1,000, so I'm trying to help them out. I'm trying to recruit right now.
head. Right.
That's all I had. I just was asking that. Is she coming? Is that what we're worried
I
about?
don't know.
Okay.
Okay, if you want the specific answer, she'll
We
be
can
able
wait
to
till
do that.
later.
Okay.
I don't want to hold up, yeah. No, I'm saying we can move forward. I don't.
Nope, she's here.
Oh, she's here. Okay.
The question, Chief, if you didn't hear, is how people are able to sign up for the Kids United program. Thanks.
Good evening, council members and mayor. And for people to sign up for the Kids United Summer Program, just for the public's information as well, the duration of the program is from Monday, June 12th through Tuesday, August 1st. The meeting days are Monday through Thursday. The time is from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. for students entering 4th through 6th grade. From 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., those are for students who are entering 7th grade to 17 years of age. And then Fridays are reserved for field trips. The location will be Larson Middle School, located at 665 Dundee Avenue. If you would like to sign up, you can email kidsunited@cityofelgin.org. Once again, kidsunited@cityofelgin.org. You can also go on our Facebook where there's a flyer. You can scan the QR code and more information is there for you. You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell. Yes. Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 9-0.
Item C is, here we go, is the purchase of a Sea-Doo Switch water rescue boat from Nielsen Enterprises. The fire department is revamping its response operations for water rescue emergencies on the Fox River. Current practice requires trailing rescue boats from one of two fire stations on the east or west side of the river to the most appropriate existing boat launch on the river. This process requires significant time in mobilizing for an emergency response. The fire department's new water rescue operation will be positioning two rescue craft at locations on the Fox River, both north and south of the Kimball Street Dam. The fire department is deploying two new jet-powered boats, that is, boats without propellers, at permanent piers with adjacent removable boat lifts. The staging will have the rescue boats on the river approximately 8 months of the year, and during the winter months, the boats and lift stations will be removed and stored on trailers for redeployment in the spring. The cost of each rescue boat is about $26,000. One boat has already been purchased with funding from the Foreign Fire Insurance Tax Board, and that is a decision that is made by the firefighters union. The board has also authorized the purchase of a pier and accompanying boat lift. This particular initiative is for the purchase of a second Sea-Doo water rescue craft.
Move for approval. Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Ms. Rauschenberg.
Thank you. How many water rescues do we have? Does anyone know, like on an annual basis?
We'll have the chief come out. There aren't many, but obviously time is of the essence when that
Right.
occurs. I think he'll be able to tell you most recently there was an incident during the 4th of July fireworks a couple years ago. Chief Sagan, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. So we don't have that much traffic on the river that warrants a lot of water rescues. But as the city manager stated, and we had a long discussion about this exact same topic, is when somebody goes underwater, it's an immediate response is needed. So the fact that we did have a drowning the evening of the fireworks in 2018, right by the riverboat.
Right.
We also, actually, we had the new boat that we have purchased out in training just 2 weeks ago, and we rescued a water jet skier who had a mechanical issue but was stuck in the middle of the river, and we were able to help him. So to answer the question, it's not a lot of numbers, but it's when we need to go, we got to go right now, which is why we're changing what we're doing and trying to get these on the water rather than on
Right.
trailers.
Then on trailers. And so what will you do with the boats on the trailers? You're going to keep those boats?
We're going to get rid of one immediately because it just is not practical for our purposes. The other one we're going to hold on to just for a little while, but I think ultimately we will get rid of that one too.
And the location will be near the dam?
So they're going to be, our proposed locations right now, and part of this is working with the DNR, is to have the south end one somewhere just north of the riverboat. So you have the riverboat launch at Lake Street.
Right.
Somewhere north in that area. It's partially dependent upon what's in there. When they did the riverboat construction and all that, there's a lot of rocks right off that river, that launch. So we're going to have to move north, and there's an area where a seawall kicks in, and we think that's a really good area. That almost corresponds with a walkway from Grove through Festival Park, which would be great access for us also. So that would be the southbound one.
Okay.
And then the northbound one, we're looking at doing it by just immediately north of the library, where there's a boat launch right there, doing it right next to
there
that
is.
boat launch.
Right, yeah, okay. And they're more like jet skis, as you said.
No, actually, that's the interesting thing about this. It's the jet ski technology in a boat. So
Okay.
if you think about it this way, if you're familiar with jet skis and the jet propulsion that a jet ski uses and the handlebars and all that, the thing steers with handlebars. It has the jet propulsion where it sucks up the water and then pushes that out the back for propulsion. It's the same technology coupled with a pontoon boat. So it doesn't have the steel pontoons that a traditional pontoon boat would have that you're thinking about. The whole boat is virtually plastic.
Okay.
And it has a 3-pontoon hull, for lack of a better term, pontoons. And so it's a combination of a pontoon boat and a jet ski using those two different technologies. What it affords us is a platform, which we don't have today. So if you imagine a pontoon boat, how you have the flat deck, that's what we're getting here, which gives us much more operational capacity to be able to do dive operations and just general water rescue.
And I'm guessing it's for 2 people?
No,
to ride
this is,
on?
we
It's
can,
just one?
we've had 7 on there. So it's a
Oh.
regular boat. It's a
Oh.
regular boat, 16 feet long.
Yeah, I guess
It's a regular
I
boat.
got that jet ski in my mind,
Right.
not the pontoon. Okay, that's pretty interesting.
He'll take you for a ride.
We'll take
Okay,
we'll
there
take
you
for a ride.
go. Okay.
Absolutely. Let me know.
I'm ready on a sunny day here in the Fox River.
It'll actually be we just got the one back. It'll be on the water for the Pride Parade activities. We're going to have
Oh,
a
good.
police officer on the water with one of our divers.
And is everyone trained in water rescue or just certain people on staff?
Everybody is trained to a very basic level of water
Okay.
rescue. Then we have our dive team, which is obviously
Okay.
trained to subsurface water rescue. These boats and this whole rescue process is for the fire department personnel in whole, not just the dive team. Because when we get a call for a water rescue, the first guys are the ones who are manning our ambulances and our fire engines. They're going there, getting on the boat, and they're going to
I'm
work.
going, I gotcha.
So everybody gets trained on this.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Dixon.
Thank you. Appreciate you bringing this forward. I just wanted to take a moment to highlight, this $27,000 that you're asking for us to spend is already paid for essentially because you did something just recently in selling vehicles from the fire department that really has paid for this. That's the way that I'm looking at it. So you're not, you're making money for, saving the city money, and then you're coming asking for something that, to me, it's not just in the case of when the fire department is called out to rescue someone, but maybe it's to assist EPD too as
Correct.
well. I know there have been instances where someone recently jumped into the water, like willingly jumped into the river. And so I see this as an added value to help both departments, and so I'm definitely going to be supporting this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, just for the record, how much was that truck that you sold again, so everyone can hear it?
It was initially, we had trade-in for $300,000, and we were able to turn around, get out of the trade-in, sell it directly for $400,000.
$400,000.
So we made $100,000 on top of the trade-in.
There you go. All right.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell. Yes. Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 9-0.
Item D, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Grant Application and Agreement. This is $2 million in net revenue for the city. City Council approved the renovation of the Civic Center Plaza as part of the 2020 adopted budget. Funding for this project in the amount of $2 million was secured through the efforts of State Senator Christina Castro through the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Final concepts were ultimately approved by the City Council, with work commencing in 2020. And what we see is increased green space and a replacement of the outdated infrastructure in the plaza as a result of this work. Work has been completed on the project in 2021. Final grant forms were submitted and recently approved by the state. This initiative is seeking the City Council's authorization to execute the grant agreement so the $2 million transfer can take place.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Ms. Powell?
Just want to say thanks to Senator Castro for her efforts in helping us to secure this funding and the continued efforts of all of our state legislators. They do us proud and are always very successful in bringing funding back to our community. So thank you to Senator Castro and our other legislators and to DCEO.
Anything else? Mr. Dixon?
Yeah. I echo the same comments. Thank you to Senator Christina Castro. And I just want to harken back actually to when we were discussing this project, and we had three options. It was option 1, option 2, and option 3, and I believe this was option 2. And option 3 had all the bells and the whistles. Had I known we were going to get this money, I would have said, let's go for all the bells and the whistles. So, vision is 20/20 in hindsight. So let's just remember that the next time we have those same options, we're going to say, they're going to get us some money anyways.
Go for the gusto.
Anything else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 9-0.
Item E is a discussion item, action plan to complete the strategic plan and for the city council and city manager goals. This is an initiative being presented by council members Stefan and Rauschenberger.
So I'll take the lead.
Stefan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last November or December, I don't remember exactly, we, as a council, approved a updated annual review process for our manager and for ourselves. And one of the elements of that updated program was to have an action plan at the end of the evaluation process that will guide us the rest of the year, and because it also involved a strategic plan longer term, like 2 or 3 years, as long as the strategic plan takes. This year was a little rocky because it was the first year we were trying this new system out. We waited, my interpretation of what was going on, we were waiting for the strategic plan that we were working on as a council to come forward. And the strategic plan we've gotten has the strategy in it, but not a lot of plan. There's no specifics. There's no plan that we can measure whether we're moving ahead, whether we're stagnant, whether we're falling behind. To see how we're doing as a council and manager after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So I wanted to get that last piece completed in our updated review process, which is to come out of at the end of it with an action plan, something that has measurables, something we can see whether we're actually attaining things, with a list of the things that we want to accomplish. And that fits right in with completing the strategic plan. I know the one that we've gotten, people have seen this. The plan that we got approximately 2 months ago, maybe a little longer, has a list of initiatives we could take on in the various objectives that we've set up under the vision and the mission statement, but it doesn't go anything beyond that. So there's really nothing to work against. There's nothing to work towards. So that's why I and Councilwoman Rauschenberger alongside, we went back and we looked at some various options, and the one that we put before you, and I think you should have that in a memo that came from Bill Cogley, is hiring the consultant that helped us with the review process and getting that going, to come back, work with us as a council to create an action plan, something that we can then use to kind of guide what we're doing. Several people have brought up the fact that we're almost halfway through the year, which is very much a problem since we're down to just 7 months left of this year, maybe a little less than that. So I'm certainly open to, making it a year and a half if that's what the council wishes. But my goal in taking on this one specific initiative, which is to kind of get a review process in place and make it sure it's annual and make sure it's kind of automatic and as routine as possible, is to make sure that we have this last piece, which is an action plan, something that we work as a council towards, that we come together and create, and then we create the measurables and we create things that would determine whether we're actually moving forward or moving not at all or moving backwards or whatever. So that's where I'm coming from. I don't know if Councilwoman Rauschenberger wants to say anything as my second, but
Ms. Rauschenberg.
Yeah, thank you. I spoke with Dr. Peter Doms. He is the consultant that helped us through our initial review of our city manager, and part of the process, as John said, was to have objectives to work on for the next year or so. I think that I would like to, what I've discussed with him is he felt comfortable with these, our broad strategic outcome areas, and that to go in just a little bit deeper on what we think are the outcomes would be under each of these. And I think what I would like to see is just, he thinks we should get down to more like 3 objectives, and from those will come the initiatives. And he will lead the discussion. That's his suggestion. There are 6 initiatives and or strategic outcome areas, and so he suggests it would take about an hour each, and that we discuss these initiatives that we'd put down and any new ones we might come up with, what's happening generally in the city, and then come to a consensus. And I think that's an important thing that we missed at the beginning of our strategic plan, or at the end of our strategic planning. I think the beginning went well. I think we have some very strong outcome areas. And then again, he would work it into our process for an annual review, and to set us on, as the city council members, on an annual strategic thought process that we can carry on through the years and work with our city manager. So that's a suggestion. he suggests, I don't know if you want to go into, have discussion now or go into the details that Dr. Doms suggested, a couple days and some hours.
Any comments? Mr. Dixon?
Thank you. I think I just have some clarifying questions first, just to make sure that I'm understanding what you two are requesting. So we have a plan currently that we all were a part of, right? And the discussions connected to that previously were there isn't enough meat on the bones. Things needed to be fleshed out more. That conversation kind of felt like a consensus. Although I thought it was good, I think the consensus was that we could go a little bit deeper. And that sounds like what you two are asking. In addition to that, in addition to going deeper, but create measurables off of those items, which may end up actually being fewer items, since they'll have action behind them, and time is resources.
Right, I think the idea is like fewer but broader items, and then the city manager and staff would fill in the back end there. Not, I think what we had is some very specific things and then some very broad things, and I think we're going to talk about under each area, come to a consensus about 3 or 4 main goals or objectives under that.
Okay.
And then, more initiatives may fall under, city manager might have more initiatives, but it kind of goes from broader to detail, and we're not going to get all the way to the detail, we're sort of in the middle.
Okay.
But it's a consensus building.
Okay, so from those action items, staff will build out the plan, or Rick would be responsible
Yeah,
for,
from our
city manager Rick
objective.
would be
Yeah.
responsible for building out a plan and executing that plan. And then the other end of this is then tying that into his yearly evaluation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay. Comes full circle.
comes full circle,
Okay.
right.
That's all I have right now.
Okay. Anything else? Anything down there? Ms. Martinez?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm kind of confused about this because as far as like the strategic plan, I made a timeline of when it started, and we actually, on May 9th, 2022, we approved to hire, Ritalis? And there were 5 vendors that submitted. We said we were going to go with them. And so then, back in March, on the 25th of last year, they submitted what they were what the technical proposal copy is, and then at that same time, what the cost proposal copy would be. And then in July 7th, I remember having an interview with the group by Zoom, and I spent probably about a half hour to 45 minutes. And then we had workshops, and the workshops were like in September 9th, I remember meeting at Holiday Inn, and it was a Friday night. It wasn't only us, it was all the staff, and we were there from 3 to 7, okay, total 4 hours. And then on Saturday, the next day, we met again at the Holiday Inn, and it was from 9 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, another 4 hours. And then they came back with the strategic planning workshop summary report. It was about like 13 pages long. And then we had another workshop in December 14th. It was a Wednesday. It was from 5 to 9, another 4 hours at the Holiday Inn. And then, let me see, on Wednesday, the 2nd of March, we adopted it. We had a resolution to adopt it, but it was tabled then. And we tabled it. And then here on it was February 8th here, on March 8th, we had a resolution to go ahead, remove it off the table, we did, and then we discussed it more. And to me, it seems like everybody was in favor, that, to go on because somebody said it was already expired and we need to move on. Some people said that, this is the framework and we would work with that. And even then I said I was surprised because here it was March and we're still trying to work on this. And then somebody else said, it seemed like everybody was in the general consensus that this is the bones of it and we were going to work on it. And everybody was okay with that. To me, it's the same thing with the evaluation for the city manager. Actually, this started, I don't know, back in 2019, where we hired this other gentleman. It cost us $3,000. And it seems like, I don't know why it takes so long or why. I mean, there's 9 of us, and we have 1 employee. Well, that wasn't even enough. It seems like now we hired this new gentleman, and he comes with a cost of $10,000. Okay. I voted yes to that because we agreed that it was just something that we were going to work with in the future, because spending this kind of money for 1 employee, I don't know, And to me, I'm disappointed because it seems like people aren't satisfied with what's going on. I mean, we already worked on it. You had plenty of time to tell us your dissatisfaction, and now we're going to bring it up again and again. When does this stop? I think last council meeting, somebody had said that, there's residents that say that Elgin is stagnant. Well, this is why, because we need to move on. We need to get things done and serve our residents. When you talk about what the city manager does, in 1 year, we had like the city of choice, and he presented 22 things that he has worked on and succeeded. Safety and Healthy Committee, the same thing, about 18 items he brought up that were worked on and were completed, and then the high performing financial stability of the government of our city, and he had 24. It's not like he's not doing anything. Nobody is saying that. I get it. But what I am saying is that things get done, staff works hard, but when we keep prolonging these issues that shouldn't really take this long, and I get it. It's the quality. It's the quality we should be looking at. To me, I'm just disappointed that we just keep on going, and it's like the never-ending strategic plan. Everybody, it wasn't just us, it was also staff. It prevents us from going on. Elgin may not be perfect, but I'm telling you, it's right up there being one of the best communities to live in. So that's my comments.
Mr. Thorne and Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I have to echo Councilwoman Martinez's words because there's one thing she didn't say that certainly is my feelings, and frankly, I'm a little embarrassed at how long this is taking. And you say, I want to go deeper. How deep do you have to go? We all approved it. We agreed. We spent all that time and all the money and a new guy that we wanted to evaluate the city manager. If I'm not saying some of these things wouldn't be right, but when are you going to do it? I mean, it's taking too long to the point where it's an embarrassment to all of the council, to me. If this were a college project, we would get an F. That's my feeling. I think the strategic plan, we're halfway into the year. If you brought this up in February, that'd be one thing, but we're halfway into the year now. and we're halfway into a new year of evaluating city managers' performance last year. Some of the ideas might be correct, but we're just too far into it. I think we've gone far enough, and we need to quote Councilman Steffen, he says, moving forward or not moving at all, we haven't been moving at all on these issues. And I wonder why. Why has it taken this long? I'm disappointed and embarrassed. I'm not going to support adding to this.
Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say, because we're talking about two different topics here, to the city manager review process, I really do appreciate you bringing in Mr. Doms. I think that formalized the process from my year 1 to year 2, tightened it up a lot. And I think as we were going through that meeting, we kind of got to the end and realized, okay, there's going to be a moment where we have to go top down or bottom up with how we're going to achieve these objectives. So I think if I'm hearing this correctly, Doms would be in support of us trying to get a little bit more detailed with this plan. And I think, as it's been noted, we're halfway through the year. So I think we all were in the room with this evaluation, and how we're shifting is giving some grace to, like, year 1 might be a little rocky. We're not going to set hard numbers. We're just going to kind of set a direction. One of the questions I still have, though, is do you have a sense of how you envision the role of staff in developing these action items alongside of us? We might be too early in the process to get into that level of detail, but was there any of that discussion surfacing?
Well, that's, if that's directed at me, if I can.
Sorry,
take
yeah,
the
I get it.
floor, yeah. First of all, I understand that staff is moving ahead as they should. That's their job. They're trying to figure out what they have to do and get it done. So that certainly would be included in what we consider. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to step on toes and overrule them. My point is that when we approved this new review process back November, December last year, and had Peter Doms come in and help us, one of the things that we've always failed to do in prior review processes, and he was going to help us get, is to an action plan. We're actually going to create something that we as a council have to talk about and agree on, as 9 of us. And I think that's, I supported that because I thought that was a way to get us kind of all pulling in the same direction rather than all of us kind of going our own ways. And to Steve's point, one of the main reasons why this is now in May, not before, is because we finally got the strategic plan to the finish line and approved. I think Rose said in March. It was just recently. And that's when, for me, it became apparent that the strategic plan that we approved has a list of initiatives we may engage in, but it doesn't have anything down to a point that this is what we're working on, this is what we're going to pull towards. And to the review process, last year's is already done. This has nothing to do with reviewing a manager's performance from last year. This is about setting it up so we can do comprehensive reviews of performances going forward. It's not to go back and undo whatever has happened before. This is trying to get a platform that we can use and get it kind of consistent and routinized so that it's coming up every year, and we're looking at things. Okay, what did we work on? What did we not work on? Did we get closer? Did we not get closer? Why didn't we get closer? All of that, that's all part of a review that at least I envision as I took on this initiative and tried to get this going. And as I've said to the council, and now we're certainly saying it to the community, it's also, there's an element of getting the 9 of us together and pulling in the same direction. That has to happen too. I mean, sometimes all of us have our own little initiatives that we want to get done, things that we want to prioritize, and it's got to be distilled through the 9 of us into an action plan that we all kind of approve and move forward on. So that's another element. So,
Okay.
and a last point, Steve, I got to address something. I mean, this isn't a full-time job for me or any of you, so I'll take the heat. I mean, it is awkward that we're here in May, trying to get something done. As I've said, I'm open to having it work for 18 months or something, so we're doing it for a year and a half. But this certainly isn't my full-time job. I'm just trying to get this done, and now we're here in the middle of May trying to finish something that is in the review process that we approve, which is we've got to have an action plan. We've got to have something that we're all kind of working towards and we can measure against at the end of whatever review period we have and see, are we, as you said, are we moving ahead or not? So
I appreciate the additional context. And I think, I share the frustration to some extent with the pace. I started on the strategic plan group back in 2012, but I mean, coming from the private sector into local government, you realize it's a perpetual organization. We're meant to be around for very, very, very long time. So I have tried to calm myself down around those things. And I also understand, maybe there's some question about why we're getting this detailed. I'm a proponent of you measure what matters. I also don't want to be the micromanager, and I don't think that we necessarily need to be, because what we got back from the review was that our city manager did exceptionally well. And Mr. Doms came in to reaffirm that. He said there was exceptionally high scores amongst senior staff. And so that's why I'm really curious about staff's involvement in this, because I could go in a million directions with this plan, and I will, but I kind of need them to rein me in and keep what's feasible and doable with what we currently have going on. And the last thing is, was there a cost associated with Dom's coming back in for this next phase?
yeah, the proposal is for $4,200. That's
Okay.
his fees.
Thank you.
It includes travel, because I think he wants to be here in person.
Yeah.
Mr. Ortiz.
All right, so I wasn't around when this was going on, so I'm like the outside looking in. So I know when I was the chair for the Police and Fire Commission, all the chairmen had to sit down for a 2-hour meeting 2 times. Well, it was split into 2 groups. So, and this plan was built on 3 groups. It was built with the city council, it was built with the senior staff, and it was built with the boards and commissions. I guess the board of commissioners, part of senior staff, and then the community. And they're expecting us to have this thing done back in February when it got tabled, and they got pushed to March and got approved. And now we're trying to nitpick at it again. And we already spent, looking at the RFP, we already spent about almost $100,000 on this. And we want to go back and spend more money. And it seems like we're trying to put 2 initiatives together. We're trying to put the city manager review in collaboration with this, which I guess sometimes they do go hand in hand, because we need something to judge them or rate the individual off of. But me having some time in HR, if we document our own work and we see like this project isn't working or this initiative hasn't been set, we keep record of that. And then when it comes down to reviewing the employee on their performance, we can say like, hey man, this didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Was there some setbacks? Did the employees not show up? Was the blueprint or the materials that we have didn't go through? And from what I've been told, which is that the way it's rated in here for like diverse housing and livable neighborhoods, it's weighted by who voted for it. So the top thing here is developing housing alternatives. So I'm assuming most of the council, the community, wanted that at the top of the list, and the bottom of the list is increased low to moderate income housing. So that was less voted on. So I guess we do have a way to gauge our city manager, like, did he get the top thing done? And then when it comes to December, when we do the reviews, now he only has 6 months to check as many boxes as he can, because I'm assuming that they probably stopped working off this list knowing that there's a possibility of it changing. So how fair is it for my boss to come to me and say, hey, Anthony, you didn't do number 4 on connected, engaged, inclusive communities. Why didn't you get it done? And I can't tell my boss I didn't get it done because it took you forever to approve the plan. I have to find a way to find the hours of the day to get everything done off this checklist, or as many things as I can. So I don't know, I just don't understand why we're in June, well, next week's June, and we're still talking about this. And the one thing that does bug me is reading through all the attachments and all the things you guys did, is that nothing in here is in here that the city staff wanted. Like I wrote some notes like the city council's too involved and let the professionals do their job, give them direction and they can get it done. the council's always divided, so we don't know which direction the city's going to go because the council can never agree. Instead of hiring new staff, hire the core staff that never got rehired from the pandemic or from the recession. Celebrates the staff's work when they do a good job, and even when they don't, give them props that they tried the best they could. It seems like right now we have a divided council that half of us want to amend this and change it, and half of us don't. And that goes back to what the city, what our staff is saying, is that we can't come to agreements on everything. We keep trying to change everything in the ninth inning. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Let's see what else everybody else has to say. Thank you.
Ms. Powell.
Thank you, Mayor Captain. So as someone who's been here since 2011 and have gone through a couple different iterations of our 5-year strategic plans, I guess I want to remind my colleagues, new and old, that this process is not something that happens overnight. Councilman Good, in particular, sat on one of our prior strategic planning committees that included several members of our community, and it was not a 2 or 3 month process. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a 5-year process. Thank you. Because this is important. This is what guides what we do, how we spend money. It prioritizes our time, our efforts, our energy. And to what Councilman Ortiz said, the things that you mentioned are not things that would end up in a strategic planning document. They're observations, important as they may be, but they're not things that would end up in a document. But those things that you mentioned are exactly why we're back at this point. Because we do need to come together as a council and refine, we're not trying to recreate the strategic planning document we have in front of us. I just want to make that clear. We're not trying to recreate it. We're trying to refine the areas that have been identified, making sure we've identified everything, but primarily refining what's there so that we can give clear direction, clear policy direction to our staff on how to move forward so that they don't feel like we're not together as a council. That's our job. That's our primary responsibility as policymakers in this community. There was a time, I guess I'm dating myself a little bit, but there was a time when we got our council agendas, every single agenda item actually referred back to a specific priority identified in our strategic plan so that we could see just visually, okay, this particular item that we are going to be discussing and voting on this evening refers back to this particular element of our strategic plan. Something I'd actually like for us to kind of go back to, but that's in the weeds right now. I think we really need to focus on the meat of what Councilman Stephan and Councilwoman Rauschenberger have brought back to us. I don't think we necessarily need to burden staff to bring them back as part of this process. We've heard them, respect what they've said. This is our work at this point to really refine what's there and come up with some clear objectives. And I think Councilman Stephan said it best. I think it became apparent as we started trying to use the strategic plan document, which has typically been used in the past as we evaluate our city manager. And that's very much, very typical for city councils to use to evaluate their village administrator, their city manager, based on those specific goals. So once we refine those areas, we can use that to build expectations and objectives for our city manager that are measurable. Granted, yes, there's 6 months left in the year, and I think Councilman Stefan even recommended maybe we stretch that out so that, you know, we're not penalizing the city manager or staff. Staff has not just stopped what they're doing. I heard that said. That's ridiculous. They've continued to work and bring things forward that are part of what we see in this document. So I don't want anyone in our audience, anyone in our community, or anyone sitting here on this dais to think that staff is not continuing to work diligently on priorities and things that are important in this community, because they are. But we need to come together and prioritize and make sure that we're all on the same page. So in fairness to our community, in fairness to our city manager, in fairness to our staff, that we are giving clear and decisive direction to them on an ongoing basis by defining what is in this document. It's a whole $4,000. I can't even begin to tell you what percentage of our $300 million budget $4,000 is. It's our time, which is valuable, but this is important. If we don't get this right, after 5 years, Dustin, Councilman Good, you participated in a process for a strategic plan for 5 years, and we're complaining about a couple months or a year. I think we need to reevaluate not only our expectations, but what we are supposed to be accomplishing. And we have a document that has provided a framework, but there's more work that needs to be done. And I am definitely in favor of us doing that work and support what Councilwoman Rauschenberger and Councilman Stefan brought forward. And I think if my colleagues really evaluate what our role is as a city council, I hope that they will vote in favor of moving forward with this as well. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Rauschenberg.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want to respond just a little bit. First of all, also for people that haven't been on the council in the past, and to remind other council persons, in the past, we sometimes didn't do our manager review for months and months late. So we have over the last years tried to get better and better at that. And this is the first year we did a bigger process, and one that we hope has legs and that will move forward, and that has objectives that we set together. It was just coincidental the strategic plan was coming at the same time. And this is the first time City Council itself decided to take on a strategic plan. We have asked for that in years past, that the City Council sit together a little more often and come together where there's a time that we can talk about bigger issues and how to move the community forward, not just in these 3 or 4 hour meetings twice a month. So I think this is new for us. We're not getting it perfectly. We don't have, again, I also have another job and a life and other things that go on. But I think we as a council can take this on ourselves. I agree at this point, maybe we need to sit together, as Councilperson Powell said, and come to a consensus, not only on this particular plan that is an ongoing living document anyway, but on the process for our future. How can we move our council forward in a strategic way to serve our community and our staff? So I think it has several different components, and I would say that I'm not giving us an F, I'm giving us a B+ for putting in the effort to try something new and different, and to make us a better council and a better city. So that's my point of view. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ortiz.
For Dom's coming back, when do you plan on wanting to convene and discuss it, or is that even thought about yet?
I have spoken to him on a few occasions. We had two possible dates. One was, he suggested, and we can, other suggestions are open, maybe 2 3-hour sessions. He suggested an hour per our strategic outcome areas that we've already set. And so that would be 6 hours. He thought 3 on one day and 4 on another. I think we would like him in person. And so the 2 days would be best if we could have them, right next to each other. The 2 dates that are suggested were the 9th and the 10th. That's a Friday and a Saturday morning. Or the 14th and the 15th, which would be that, in that case, unfortunately, he could not do the 7th and 8th because that was a possibility. The 14th would be maybe a few hours before city council, so maybe we come at 4 till 6. I don't know if that coincides with one of our other, the liquor commission. And then maybe do it on the 15th. Those are the only ones we came up so far. And I don't know if any of those work with anyone.
Yeah, because if the council does vote to bring him in for another review, I'd love to be part of it. So like the 9th and 10th, I won't be in town.
Okay.
And then the 15th, I think Forward's having the 100-year anniversary. So I'm assuming many of us are going to probably be there. And then the 15th, we have a council meeting. So I understand how
The
it's
14th,
difficult
yeah.
for a lot of people to actually have time in their calendars to get this done.
Well, I think then, again, I don't think timing is so important as the process and consensus about how we move forward with our strategic objectives. So if we can come up with some other dates that, if you'd like to do it in a 6-hour session one day, tell me that. I'm actually gone for a few weeks, but I will, of course, I'd like to be part of it, but I understand. I think it needs to move forward within the next at least month. So we'll work on some dates, and if people would give me an idea if they would like to do it all in one session with a break, or, though I don't know how we do that when people have jobs. So 2 different sessions, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. And I'll help, and John will help organize that with Dr. Doms.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I'm not going to support the initiative tonight. I think that this council has all the information it needs to move forward with the strategic plan. We have 6 outcome areas that we've been have chosen, we have voted on to work towards. These initiatives that are underneath that give us the tools to do that. Those tools were created by input from staff, the community, and the city council. If we go back and try to redo this, I can see us paring these down and making this list shorter, and we'll eliminate the input of some of the people that voted on the original document and brought us the information that we need to kind of make this decision. I think at the end of the day, we can go back and review at the end of the year and say, I'll pick Vibrant Community. How did we do on Vibrant Community? If we don't feel that we did a good job, we can do that. If we're not adult enough to be able to go back and look at, and we feel that we need to have somebody hold our hand and offer us this direction, then we better take a close look at ourselves. And I go back and I look at I served on a jury a long time ago, and we had listened to all the testimony for 2 weeks. And we went to the judge and asked for more information, and he just looked at us and said, you have all the information that you need to make your decision to move forward. Make your decision. I think that's where we're at. Let's do this. Let's say to the community, we're going to move forward with this, and we will work with staff to do our best to, these initiatives may include, we'll do our best to include all of those initiatives if we can. And I think that should be our goal. If we delay this, I don't see that it's going to be productive enough to for us to gain anything. If we feel we don't do anything here at the end of the year, when we do a manager's review, we can do a council review at the same time, and let's just get this job done for the community. I think there's enough information here for us to do it, so I won't be supporting that. Okay, Ms. Powell.
So, Mayor Captain, since you don't support this, how do we measure? You said vibrant community and there's something there. How do we measure at the end of a year or into 5 years? What measurable objectives and performance measures are in this document? How do we measure if we achieve that goal?
Okay, Mr. Manager.
I actually, it was for the mayor.
Okay, I would say that we're adult enough to sit down at the end of the year and say that we achieved the goals that we wanted to achieve in these individual items. If we didn't, then we'll go back and refigure it. But to put a number on it and say, well, we need to score a 60 before we can determine if this is achievable or not, and we're going to pare it down to 3 items instead of 12 so we can do that, I think that's being counterproductive. I think we should be adult enough here to be able to come back and say to the community, yeah, we kind of flopped here on diverse housing. We need to do a better job with that. We need to spend some more time on that next year. This is a 3 to 5 year plan. You're not going to get it done in 6 months anyway.
And I completely agree, we're not going to get this done in 6 months.
No, yeah.
But, you know, when you're, and I think, again, going back to what Councilman Stefan said, which I think is probably one of the most important components of why we're doing this right now, we need to be able to clearly measure and evaluate our manager. And we've struggled with that for a while. When we had clear, in our former strategic plan, our performance measurement instrument that we use for our manager was clearly developed based on those performance measures that came directly out of the strategic plan. And those are kind of missing from this, and that's, again, why we're not trying to take things out of this. And I value the staff's input. I value the community's input that went into this. I don't think anyone here is trying to eliminate any of that as part of going through this process. But what we are trying to do is refine and further clarify specifically what it is. When we say vibrant community, that means a whole lot of things to a whole lot of different people. How are we measuring that? So, again, for those of us who actually have to go through performance evaluations on our jobs, whether we're receiving them, whether we are giving them to our employees, there are clear objectives that we are measured on and that we are measuring our employees on. So I think that's what we're missing, and you know, as Councilman Ortiz pointed out, our staff and maybe members of this community feel that we as a council are divided. This is our time to come together and prioritize issues as a board. There was a time where this board would get together and strategize and prioritize and speak directly to our strategic planning, our strategic initiatives on a quarterly basis. And we've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from that, and I think we need to get back to that. So that's something I want to see us do in the future. I know you guys are chomping at the bit to answer my question, so I'm open to listening to what you have to say.
Okay, Mr. Manager, would like to respond?
You're absolutely correct that there aren't any measurable outcomes on this, but in the memo that I wrote to the council, and this was part of the process that was approved by the city council, once the council adopted the strategic plan, as it ultimately did, staff will then begin identifying action items necessary to achieve the city council's outcome areas and initiatives during 2023. That process stopped. That was the opportunity for staff to come back to the council and present those measurable items, and that has been truncated after the adoption of the strategic plan. So you're absolutely correct that this document does not have measurables, but what has been aborted was the original plan, as the council signed up for, is to have staff come back and provide those measurables for the council's review.
This
I guess,
council did vote on this strategic plan, and it did pass.
well, everyone did not vote and approve on that, so let me
But we
just
did
make.
vote, and I
Yes.
guarantee you, we're not going to be agreeable on your plan tonight.
Well,
So, anything
I'm
else?
just, but I just want to make it real clear for the public before,
Wonderful.
while people are saying that we voted to approve this, the majority of the council voted to approve this plan moving forward. It did not pass unanimously.
That's how
For the
democracy
very-
works, Ms.
For,
Powell.
it- I clearly understand that. I've been here for 12 years,
great.
kind of like you have. So, my point is, the reason why it did not pass unanimously, because of this piece that I think a lot of folks, well, some of us up here felt still needed to be refined.
Anything else? Ms. Martinez?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a few clarifications. First of all, nobody up here said that staff stops working. Nobody said that. That's not true, okay?
Somebody did
Staff-
say that.
Excuse me?
Ms. Powell?
I think
Ms.
I have the
Martinez
floor
has-
right now. And so I just want to make that clear, just so that, people know staff never stops working, okay? As far as with the city manager, what I want to make clear is that in 2012, 2014, when I got on here, there was city manager Sean Stiegel, and we've been having this problem about not getting this review since back then, He still got reviewed. This city manager has been reviewed. In the 5 years that he's been in, we've never given him an increase, a pay increase. As a matter of fact, he took away an opportunity for him to have an increase. And so I think what we need to do, we just need to go on. Everybody agrees this is not a perfect document, but it's something that we can work with, something that staff can work with. I think to not pass it now, it's already, whether it's the majority, we've already done this. So I call for the question, Mayor.
I think we've had,
Ask a point here.
okay, Mr. Dixon, very quickly. I think we've had enough comment here to move forward.
I was actually going to say, what is the motion, so that we can take a vote?
Yeah.
Well, there is no motion, but if everybody's looking this way to dais, I'll make the motion to approve the proposal presented by Peter Dahms to move to, well, as the memo says, move to create more detail for our strategic objectives, and for me, as the one that's taken the initiative on the review process, to create an action plan that we will use to then in future times, whether it's 6 months from now or a year and a half from now, use to review the performance of ourselves and our city manager. So that's the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Peter Dahms to lead the council and continue discussion.
Council members Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
No.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes,
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Steffen,
Yes.
Thoren,
No.
Mayor Captain.
No. Motion's approved, 6-3. Okay, announcements from the council. Mr. Thorne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to remind and invite the council to the Memorial Day programs. The Elgin Patriotic Memorial Association, in coordination with the city of Elgin, will be putting on the program 9:30 at Veterans Memorial Park, and that's run by the Navy, and it honors those interred at sea. And then at 11 o'clock, the main city program, as always, at Bluff City Cemetery, and that will be broadcast live on WRMN. It'll be also live on the city's website, and I hope to see all of you there.
Ms. Rauschenberger.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I would just like to say thank you and farewell to Diane and Brian Stanton. They were the proprietors of Arabica Cafe, and they served our community well for, I think, 8 years in providing wonderful coffee, community, great bakery goods, and a business, a successful business in downtown Elgin. I do appreciate them, and I personally will miss them, as I'm sure many of the citizens of Elgin and beyond. They had people that love their coffee shop come from other communities as well. So thank you, Diane and Chef, and good luck in your next ventures.
And their staff.
Mr. Ortiz.
And their
Oh,
staff.
Sorry.
I want to say congratulations to all the U46 seniors that are graduating this weekend. I know it's a milestone in a lot of your guys' lives, and I know college isn't for everybody, so there's always other ways to excel in your education. There's trade schools, there's the traditional community colleges, universities. So just congratulations to all our U46 students graduating.
I have an announcement. I have two announcements. I'd like to thank council members Martinez, Ortiz, and Stefan for attending the memorial services for the Elgin Police Department and for the fire department over the past weekend. Very moving time and a big thing for our community to show unity behind our first responders. Also, I'd like to make an announcement that this week is National Hispanic Suicide Prevention Network is going to be holding an event called Hope for Darkness on May 25th from 6 till 8 at the Heritage Ballroom. And this is, as we're going to have a proclamation today, this is Mental Health Month for nationally, and suicide is a very, very critical problem for all of us in our community. And people carry burdens that they have a tough time shouldering themselves. And suicide is about helping people, help them get through the rough patches that they face in their life. So I'd really enjoy seeing you at this event on the 25th. Anything else from the council? Mr. Manager, anything from staff?
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon.
I just also wanted to say congratulations to all of the U46 graduates, one of which is my daughter, who's graduating from South Elgin High School's Beacon Academy and is on her way to university. And so I'm really happy for I'm really happy for her, but we're really happy to have her not eat all of our food. And so that's one, what I call crumb snatcher out of the house. And, two more to go. So, thank you.
Okay, nothing from staff. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council members Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, we are adjourned. We'll reconvene at the regular council meeting at 7:20. order for May 24th, 2023. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Dixon, Good,
Here.
Martinez,
Here.
Ortiz,
Here.
Powell, Rauschenberger, Stefan, Thoren,
Here.
Mayor Captain.
Here. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of May 10th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, clerk please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain. Mayor Captain.
Here. We seem to have misplaced our communication this evening for the proclamation. So we'll go on to public comments, and we'll come back to that. First person to sign up for public comment this evening is Philip Smith. Right up to the podium.
Yep.
Sorry, this is my first city council meeting, so I just moved to Elgin like 6 months ago. I live right down the block at the Fountain. And I am indirectly related to Judge Keith Brown and Bruce Stevens, who's on the board for the Elgin Housing. So she lives in my building too, and we've just noticed a big pickup of police activity at the Fountain in front of us. And I mean, it's a public place, right, where people can come and just if they want to sit. But the people that are congregating there are people that are playing music really loud, they're smoking whatever, and drinking and doing stuff that I think they shouldn't be doing, and making lots of noises with boom boxes and stuff like that. So I've called the police a couple of times, and they've been very cooperative and been on top of it, but this last weekend, there was a lot of police activity, as you probably know, on Grove over the weekend. And so I guess, I don't know if I should be in front of the police or in front of you guys, but if there's something that we could do to deter people from hanging out there, even if it's maybe just a sign and it says no loitering or no loud music or something, so that, you know, the park can kind of become a good place for people to kind of hang out.
Okay, thank you for bringing that to our attention. The police department will follow up.
Thank you.
Jose Melgar.
Council. Good afternoon. I want to see how can we better help our staff to have better protocol and better procedures to be more clarifying and transparent with our bids to our taxpayers and not having them to pay a ton more money than not need to, especially on pulling weeds on our landscaping beds. We need to figure out how to properly train our staff to be beyond policies. Now, 2023, there's laws that trump our policies, and we should be able to train our staff to figure out how they should be able to follow the proper steps, or in order for them to take the proper steps to obey a bidding, to handle a bidding, or to be transparent with the public. We need a staff to help our purchasing department or any of our bid department to help them better our community and give more jobs to our minority business. There is a lot of minority business out there that don't know about our website, Downtown Elgin, how we go about our bids. I think our city can help our minority-owned business out here and be more transparent with the public and be more helpful with them so they can be part of our community, help our community grow, and also our taxpayers' money go into our local minority-owned businesses instead of multi-million-dollar companies, which I think is very disappointing for landscaping company to bid on one of our landscaping beds and fall victim to a low bidding process, especially when there's laws already in place and not a proper steps were taken or proper procedures were taken for one of our minority business out here to be or fall victim to our bidding process. That's all I'm here for. I need help for better staff. Not better staff, our staff is awesome. Maybe we get some better staff to help them take the proper steps, better eyes, the new laws that we have now up to date. We probably have our staff been here for years. Totally awesome. I don't have any complaints. They're very helpful. But point of time now that I fell victim to it, and I was able to realize that we need more help out here for our minority-owned business and also for our bid departments, for them to be more instructed or probably better guided on our new laws that we have nowadays and our policies that we go off. And that's basically what I'm here. I need help to get a better judgment of our personnel. I apologize. You guys were running the same agenda, trying to evaluate personnel in the same industry. And yes, I'm here for the same reason. We need to evaluate personnel on how they handle and how they go about their process bids and how to evaluate a minority or a minority-owned business. I think there should be different policies in place for minority-owned businesses as well if our city wanted to help our minority-owned businesses. If not, they don't want to help our minority-owned business, I think they should stick to the law and obey instead of going by policies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Captain?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Powell, yeah.
If you can come, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what the concern is. Are you a bidder on a project?
Yes, I lived here my whole life and I was raised here, and I bid it for the first time on one of our local bids out here in Elgin for Gardner Beds, and unfortunately I was very disappointed in the way our department handled the situation, and our bid went to the highest bidder, which is very sad.
You said this was your first time bidding?
First time bidding.
So just trying to so your concern is learning and understanding our bid processes and procedures?
I do understand a little bit about the procedures. I just don't think our staff that handles that procedures don't have an understanding of how it should work. There's a lot of issues and flaws that our department handled over this bid that
Your department,
No,
business, or you're saying
our
the
city department.
So, okay, so I guess we could have our staff talk to you later, because I guess we would need to know specifically what you're accusing us of.
No, I'm not accusing anybody
Okay.
of, I'm just accusing the way the process got handled.
Okay, so we need to understand that, and I just wanted to make sure I understood that you're a bidder, and you need more information, and you feel that we did not handle.
Yeah, 'cause I do
process
have the
correctly.
information, I do
Okay.
have the laws, case logs and all that good stuff of us being 500 or less population. I do understand a lot of federal money and aid that comes to this city, and it is funded to our cities. At least 10% of that money should go to minority-owned business, if I'm not mistaken. And unfortunately, I haven't seen any of that happen to any of the bidders that I've been with.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Powell,
Someone
I'll talk
from-
to you later about it.
Yeah, okay. So
Right.
someone, obviously from like city manager's team will probably,
We-
will met with you.
Various members of staff have spoken about this. This was a bid that was awarded a number of weeks ago, and he wasn't happy with the decision.
Got it.
And the
Understood.
transparency that it happened with.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Dixon had his hand up.
Mr. Dixon?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, excuse me, if he had spoken with staff after the fact, but according to city manager, he has spoken to staff about these issues. But the larger point that you're raising is there's no clarity about what, you're not clear about what should have occurred, could have occurred in this situation. Had you gotten more information and guidance, you would have moved differently on your application.
To be honest, no. I think the guidance is here in our department that our department needs better guidance. Our bidding, the one that handles our bids, the one that values our bids, those are the ones that need more guidance, to be honest. On my end, I got all the info I needed, and I think I handled my bid professionally and evaluated
Okay.
very professionally. I just think it was our employees that were not able to evaluate the low bidder. I mean, low bidder is a very important job to, especially to evaluate somebody if it's a low bidder responsibility, if he's responsible or not. And the way our staff handled it, he wasn't trained properly to handle this type of situations.
Okay, so you're familiar with the responsible bidders ordinance and
Yes,
all
sir.
of that good stuff? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you. But still the larger point is how many contracts are going to minority companies, especially those who are owned and operated here in our city?
Correct.
It's a larger issue. Gotcha. Thank you.
And our staff not being properly trained.
I got you.
Thank you.
Got you, yeah. All right.
Thank you. Sanvi and Winter wish to talk about plastic letters.
Hi, my name is Shanvi and this is my partner Winter.
Today we will be talking about styrofoam.
Before I start, I would like to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to speak here.
There you go.
Styrofoam harms the environment in an incredibly high amount. It harms the environment by causing sickness, harming animals, and contributing to pollution. When all the styrofoam lands into the water and pollutes it, that will harm the sea animals. This is why we need to stop styrofoam. It is harming our environment. We need to work on banning this horrible pollution so it won't harm this beautiful world.
Styrofoam is hurting our environment, but we don't pay attention to how it harms our animals. Styrofoam is very harmful to the oceans because it's light and so it gets blown away by the wind and gets broken into pieces. That is easy for animals to eat and that will harm them. Styrofoam also harms the ocean animals. According to Jean Perrine, like most plastics, polystyrene is lightweight and floats. When littered, it is carried from streets and storm drains out to the ocean. This harms our birds and fish when they think it's food. This is why we should ban styrofoam to prevent it from harming our Earth's animals.
How many people die from sickness? A lot. Almost half of that sickness comes from styrofoam because animals eat the styrofoam after it is carried far into streets and storms and drains out to the ocean. After eating the chemicals in the styrofoam, they get chemicals in them. And once we eat that seafood or other meat-related food, you get sick. The foam has the chemical styrene, which leads to cancer, hearing loss, and nervous system effects. Styrofoam does not only have styrene, it has over 50 other chemicals. Styrofoam causes sickness when it is consumed. When you are eating fish, you are eating the chemicals from styrofoam. The styrofoam flows into the ocean, then the fish eat it, and in the end you have an amazing sushi dinner. But you are also eating a mix of styrofoam in it. This is how styrofoam can harm you.
As you see, styrofoam harms the environment in many different ways. This can cause the earth pain and make our world sick. We need to ban the styrofoam to make our earth healthy and unpolluted. If we could ban it, we would stop a portion of worldwide plastic pollution. Please help our future and ban styrofoam use in Elgin.
Amika and Rayanne?
Oh, they got Tamika, Ray, and
Hi, my name is Rayan Solomanji, and we are here to promote the effort to ban plastic bags. This paper was done by Annika Schuleri and Anika Mystery. The research was done by me, and the posters were done by Samantha Castello and Guion Soni. Did you know that about 8 million tons of plastic waste finds its way into the ocean every year? This is the same as if 5 garbage bags of trash occupied every foot of every coastline in the world. Many sea creatures and birds try to eat plastic or get stuck in it. One of the ghastly effects of using this non-renewable resource. This is why we think the City of Elgin should ban plastic bags. Fortunately, there are some ways to recycle them, But could that be an effective solution? Let's learn more about plastic bags. One problem with using plastic bags is that it has devastating effects on animals. It is estimated that 100,000 marine animals die each year because of plastic pollution. Marine animals like turtles see plastic floating in the ocean and assume that's food. They only realize that it isn't food when it's already in their mouth. Many of them get tangled up in it and die or choke on the plastic. But marine animals aren't the only animals that are affected by plastic. Out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's a patch of garbage that was carried from all around the world by ocean currents and brought there. In the center, there's a place called Midway Island where birds called albatross live. They eat that plastic and then die from it. Marine life eats about 12,000 to 24,000 tons of plastic every year. These plastics are broken into microplastics, so even very small fish can eat it. Fish eat fish that are smaller than them, so the plastic goes up the food chain and finally reaches us. In a study by Environment International, they found plastic in the blood of 17 out of 22 participants, which is 77%. Only 5 people didn't have plastic in their system, and even if you're vegetarian, plastic is still accessible in the air we breathe. As you can see, plastic is a serious problem and plastic bags are a big part of it. Many companies have acknowledged this and are trying to help recycle it. Bionic Yarn is a company that turns plastic into yarn, and many companies can then use the yarn to make clothes. You may think that this is an effective way to recycle plastic. But before the process starts, plastic must be collected from the ocean. Not all of the plastic from the ocean can be collected, so this solution may not be completely effective. More plastic may be winding up in the ocean than companies can recycle. This is why we think it is much better to avoid plastic instead of trying to recycle all of it. To write this letter, we have only researched a few possibilities on how plastic bags are harmful. There are many more problems affecting humans and animals, and we don't even realize it. Although there are many ways to recycle plastic, they aren't completely effective. While plastic may be a useful resource, there are many alternatives to plastic, such as the eco-friendly reusable and paper bags, which are renewable. Instead of using plastic and also trying to reduce it by recycling it at the same time, we urge you to follow the examples of various cities, such as Seattle and states like California and New Jersey, and ban plastic bags now.
Thank you. Bella and Jacob.
Hello, I'm Jacob, the writer of this letter. Bella also helped write the letter. Malik, Belinda, and Winter were all researchers and made the posters. Now, let's talk about how plastic straws affect the environment and us. People in the U.S. can go through more than 150 million plastic straws every day, according to Science World. There is no exact number of how many plastic straws we use, but that is still a lot of plastic straws. Think about how much that is. Plastic straws have been around for 86 years. It is a nightmare to think about how that is just in the U.S. Now let's discuss the few reasons why we should ban plastic straws.
Plastic has been affecting animals negatively for a while, and it's time for a change because marine animals are dying, which can cause many problems. This can cause problems such as affecting the food chain, which could be very bad, because then the animals go extinct or have very little population. The problems that may come from this is that the prey may overpopulate, which would be a big problem as well. For example, turtles have been found to have eaten plastic in the ocean, which then is what has killed them because they think that it is their food. It is hard to imagine, but a new study says that half of the sea turtles on the planet have swallowed some form of plastic, according to Newsela. These are a couple of the reasons why we should ban plastic straws.
Plastic straws can also affect human health negatively. Plastic has a chemical, Plastic straws can also affect human health negatively. Plastic has a chemical called BPA in it, which can cause multiple things, such as risk for cardiovascular disease, breast, brain, and prostate cancer, attention disorders, learning disorders, early onset puberty, infertility, diabetes, and obesity. According to the Plastic Pollution Coalition, according to Shelly O'Neill, fish eat the straws and we eat the fish, allowing the chemicals to reach our body. Even if you don't eat fish, it still gets to you through the air, which means we are putting our lives at risk by using single-use plastic straws. Plastic also affects the environment in negative ways. Plastic never goes away, which means that every straw that has ever existed is still out there, either in landfills or in oceans. Plastic straws can only be used once, and they are not biodegradable. According to Matthew Taylor, when people dump plastic in the water, there are only a few places it can go. It may wash onto the shore, it may float on the surface, or it may sink straight down. Our plastic straw pollution is affecting the future of us and the earth, and we need to stop.
Some may say that banning plastic straws is a bad idea because of how it may affect people with disabilities, like a person named Alice Wong, who is a disability activist and also has a disability. She says, for many people who are disabled, straws are a tool. She said, they are necessary. They make drinking safe. We are not saying to ban all the straws. You can use other types of straws too. Also, is it worth people's lives and animals' lives as well? Another thing that people may say is that they aren't near water, so they're not contributing to the plastic in the ocean. But many people don't realize how simple it is to get plastic into lakes and other waterways that lead into the ocean. Also, if it ends up in landfills, then that's also bad. So we should stop and ban plastic straws. In the end, if we don't take action, things will get worse. By 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the world's oceans, according to Future Agenda. Imagine how many fish there are in the ocean, and how there will be more plastic than how many fish there are in the ocean. Approximately 8.8 million tons of plastic pollution flows into the ocean each year, an amount expected to double by 2025, according to the last drop. As you can see, this is on many people's minds, and this is going to get worse, and even till that multiple people would want this as our advantage. These are the reasons why we want you to help ban plastic straws in Elgin. Please take action and ban plastic straws. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to accept a proclamation for Mental Health Month? I didn't get a name, so. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, nearly 1 in every 5 adults are living with a mental health problem in any given year. And whereas suicide rates have increased approximately 36% between the year 2000 and 2021, and 90% of people who die by suicide have an underlying mental illness. And whereas 21% of adults are experiencing at least one mental illness, and 12% of all calls into the Kane County 211 helpline are in regards to mental health, and whereas early identification and treatment can make a difference in successful management of mental illness and recovery, so community members are then able to lead full and productive lives. And whereas every citizen and community can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma that has surrounded mental illness for far too long, this negative stereotype often discourages people from getting the help that they need. And whereas by diligently working to support our public education and civic activities, we can encourage mental health awareness and continue to improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. Now, therefore, I, David Captain, Mayor of the City of Elgin, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Mental Health Month and call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Elgin to clearly see the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions, and urge the community to recommit to increasing our city's awareness and understanding of mental health. Very important subject for our city, and please be aware that there are issues out there and people that need your help. Just understanding. Okay, that brings us to bids. The first item is bid number 23-003, 2023 Country Knolls Resurfacing Project.
I move to award this bid to, for the 2023 here we go again. 2023 Country Knolls Resurfacing Project construction bid to Brothers Asphalt Paving of Addison, Illinois, in the amount of $1,966,244.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rauschenberger?
Yes.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion is approved 9-0. Bid number 2 is number 23-026, 2023 Providence Resurfacing Project.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend that we award this bid to the Arrow Road Construction Company in the amount of $1,644,336.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rauschenberger?
Yes.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion is approved 9-0. Brings us to other business. The first item is a resolution reappointing Kimberly A. Lewis as city clerk of the city of Elgin, Illinois.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rauschenberger?
Yes.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 9-0. Item 2 is a resolution of reappointing Deborah Naraki as city treasurer of the city of Elgin, Illinois.
Move for approval.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rauschenberger?
Yes.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 9-0. Item 3 is an ordinance granting a conditional use to establish a tobacco store in the Center City District at 20 South State Street.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
No.
Powell?
Yes.
Rauschenberger?
Yes.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion is approved 8-1. Item 4 is an ordinance creating a conditional use for accessory package liquor sales in the Neighborhood Business District and Arterial Road Corridor Overlay District at 500 South McLean Boulevard.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Powell?
No.
Rauschenberger?
No.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion is approved 7-2. Number 5 is authorization for payment to Altorfer Caterpillar for repairs of Elgin Fire Department engine number 4.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rauschenberger?
Yes.
Steffen?
Yes.
Thoren?
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 9-0. Consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Council members Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Steffen,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion's approved 9-0. Miscellaneous business.
Move. Second.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Council members Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Steffen,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion's approved 9-0. Announcements, the next committee of the whole meeting will be Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the city council chambers. The next regular meeting of the Elgin City Council will be Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the city council chambers. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council members Dixon,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Rauschenberger,
Yes.
Steffen,
Yes.
Thoren,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, the motion's approved 9-0. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.